Hi everyone. I know this is a super weird way to do a video, but I mean, I don't have a professional camera right now, so I'm using my iPhone and I'm in a weird position, but I don't feel like getting up off of my couch. So I'm gonna explain Lorenzo's, I'm gonna say fourth hospital stay. He went in on February 26th, I believe, to get ileostomy surgery, which is surgery where they go through your small intestine, they pull it completely out of your body, and they cover it with a bag to catch bowel movements. Because after everything that he went through last year, it kind of cut out more, I want to say, like, it stopped a lot of his major organs, I believe. Like, he isn't able to urinate on his own, and he's not able to have bowel movements on his own. And as you probably already know, he has a trach to help him breathe. So as of right now, he has a lot of things going on from head to toe. But his fourth hospital stay, he was supposed to go in for ileostomy surgery, and he was only supposed to be in for about 3 to 4 nights for recovery. But that ended up going south. So the surgery itself went well, but his body, his immune system was already not up to par to, I guess, handle that major surgery. So we ended up there for 2 months again. Like, it was a process. I missed work again, but luckily it was more towards summer, so I mean, my job was pretty good about that. That was just a side note. But the surgery was well, the recovery was not well. So he came out of surgery, and I'm gonna try to like put some pictures in the video. I don't know, I would rather these videos be like raw and real. Like, I'm not gonna do a lot of editing and things like that, but if I can figure out how to put a picture in here, I'll show some. If not, whoever wants to ask me for some, I can let you see some. But I really thought that that was like a breaking point for his life, because I've never seen my son so like miserable and lifeless. Like, he was lifeless. He didn't, like, he wasn't able to eat, he wasn't able to drink. I mean, he's like a totally different kid now, but if I'm able to get some pictures in here, you'll be able to see what he went through. Like, this surgery completely slowed his body down, completely. His stomach, and as a lot of you know, his stomach, it gets really big, it gets distended when he's not able to pass bowel movements. Of course, we're out of tissues. He's not able to pass bowel movements. He's not able to like pass gas on his own. So his stomach gets really, really big when he's not able to pass it, and it causes him a lot of pain, and it puts him to sleep. Like, his pain gets so bad that it puts him to sleep for a couple of hours until it passes. You're gonna have to bear with me through this video. So he was miserable for a really long time. Through the process of the recovery from the surgery, his bag and what his intestines were supposed to be doing they weren't doing it. His body was taking a long time to catch up, and he had what the doctors call an ileus, which is when basically like when your body shuts down and your bowels stop working and your like intestines stop working and things stop moving, it causes you to vomit. So he got an ileus, and everything just stopped. So nothing was functioning. So he was just throwing up bile. He wasn't able to eat or drink anything at all. He wasn't able to eat or drink anything at all. He had what they call an NG tube down his nostril and down to his stomach, which is to keep which was to keep him from throwing up so much. They just had a machine kind of sucking the bile out, so his body wasn't going through all that torture of like the pain of throwing up and the pressure and everything. And he ended up back in ICU. Last summer he was in ICU for a couple of weeks. He ended up back in ICU again, and my parents were out of town at that time, and I was by myself. A lot of my family came running to help me because I was alone when his surgeon came in and said probably the worst thing that a parent wants to hear is that there was nothing else that they could do, that we just had to wait it out. So I found that out when I was alone at the hospital, and my brother came up. It's really hard to tell this story. My brother came up, and my mom was out of town for her aunt's funeral. If you know my family, you know that everything happens to us at one time. Can't just be one thing. So we went up, we got rushed down to ICU because his stomach had gotten so big. Like, I thought it was gonna explode. Like, I don't know if that's medically possible. I could be stupid, I don't know. But I really asked the doctors, I was like, is his stomach just gonna burst? Because it was just so big. And it was so hard, and he was so miserable, and he couldn't breathe. And the doctors at that time were like, you know, we're worried about his lungs, the pressure against his lungs and his diaphragm, that it's causing him to not be able to breathe very well. So they had to take him down to ICU when I was alone. And my tia came to be with me, and about an hour later, I'll never forget, an hour later, my other tia came to be with me. And it shows what you do for family, because she came running with her hair wet straight out of the shower with one shoe on. But the doctors were amazing there, and they made sure that I ate, and they made sure I had water. And my aunts did not leave until they got there, until they made sure that I ate and that he was stable. His dad ended up coming also. He was pretty supportive through everything. And we were finally able to get up to a regular floor about 2 days later. And it was just the longest waiting game, you guys. It was so long. Like, we were there for 2 months just waiting to see if my son's body would eventually function. I'm not really a big crier. mean, right now I am, because I'm trying to tell you guys my son's survival story. Now he's on what the hospital calls TPN and lipids. So he can eat whatever he wants at any point in time, but his body just can't digest that well. So anytime he tries to eat, his body takes such a long time to digest that it makes his stomach big. So it's like a process. So he's not really able to eat as much as he wants, per se. So he's on TPN and lipids. One bag is basically what the doctors call his like hamburger, french fries, and the other bag is what they call like his veggies. And he's on that for he started off at 18 hours. We used to put him on TPN and lipids at 5 in the afternoon, and he would get off at about 9 in the morning, maybe. It was a pretty long time. And we did that for 2 months, and then they lowered it down to 12 hours. So now he's on it for 12 hours a night. And we have amazing nurses that come and help us get through all of this. He now gets shots twice a day. So in the morning, we have to hold him down and give him a shot. And this shot is medicine that helps his body function, because if we even miss one shot, he is down all day long. His trach, he's really used to now. He actually admires it. He tells people, this is how I breathe. This is my trach. But right now, Lorenzo has his trach. He has his central line. Like, I don't know if some of you have heard of that, but it's like kind of what chemo patients had. It's a permanent IV in their chest. And it goes directly to his heart. And it helps him receive his medicine at night. And he gets dressing changes every Monday. He has a nurse come in from his company and sterilize and change his dressing every Monday. And he gets the shots twice a day. He gets medicine 3 times a day. He gets Tylenol, Motrin, any of that, as much as he needs to help his comfort. Oh my gosh, I could not stop crying. In June, we went into the hospital because we received great news back in January that his vocal cords started working. We were ecstatic. He did a sleep study. He passed it with flying colors, where they put a cap over his trach to where it forces him to breathe on his own. So then she did another test a couple months later, and she went in to do a scope and said they're still working. He looks great. His breathing is great. So our official removal, it's called a decannulation, when they remove a trach. So we went in to officially get his trach removed in June. And she went in to do the scope before she made a last-minute decision. And she said that his vocal cords were still moving. His breath was still strong, and he was doing great. She goes, we're going to get him out of the OR. We're going to take him up to his room. I'll come up, remove the trach. We're going to tape gauze over the hole, and the skin will close on its own. Well, that night, me and his dad stayed with him, and his dad woke me up at 3 a.m. and said something's not right. And when I heard him, it was the exact same sound that I had heard when they had to put the trach in order for him to breathe. I started panicking. I was like, no, this isn't happening. He's just trying to adjust. And his dad was like, yeah, maybe he's just trying to adjust. Like, I think he'll be okay. But we called nurses in just to make sure, and they said that his breathing was good, his oxygen was good, and it would just keeping an eye on him. So he got scared of the way he was breathing, because his chest and his stomach were completely retracting. His whole body was moving up and down because he was having such trouble passing his air without his trach. So he tried to take a nap the next day, and his breathing was the same. It was, I mean, I'll try my best to put in my video clips and the pictures that I took, but not a professional editor, like I said, so I'm not sure. But he was having so much trouble that he woke himself up again. We had to call Med Alert. Med Alert is when all the doctors and nurses that are available on the floor that you're on come running to see what's going on. That's what they do when they have a real emergency. Like, we can't wait on a doctor, we can't wait on his nurse. They're calling everybody available to get to the room. And his doctor came running up and said, we need to get him back down to the OR so I can see what's going on. So we went down to the OR, and she comes out. I go down while she's doing that emergency scope on him. I go downstairs to take a breath of fresh air with my dad and a friend, and I come back up, and the doctor comes out, and she looks at me and she goes, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what happened, but his vocal cords aren't working again. I'm crying now, but I couldn't cry then because I was speechless. I was hopeless. I want my child to be fixed, and nobody can fix it. So I was literally like one of those parents that you see on the news. Like, I was sitting there dead staring her with no emotion, nothing. I was just, I mean, the way I'm looking into the camera now was me looking at her. I just didn't know. I just didn't know. I didn't. I don't know if I can say her name on camera, but she is amazing. She's his ENT doctor. She's the one who did his trach surgery. She's the one who, makes sure that he's breathing well. She's the one who does checkups for his trach and things like that. And she goes, I'm not stopping until I help you guys get down to the bottom of this. So she called a genetics doctor and a neurologist. And now the genetics doctor's appointment, I will try my best to remember to vlog, but it's not till October, so we don't know anything from them yet. We did go see the neurologist. They're gonna do a test on Lorenzo where they shock his arms and his legs on purpose, give him small shocks to see how his nerves react, because they're thinking at this point it's neurological, because his vocal cords do work for a certain period of time, but then at certain points in time they don't, so they pick and choose when they're functioning. So that's why these doctors are thinking now it's more neurological. What happened, we still don't know what happened at the very beginning. Okay, I'm in a different position, but I'm gonna try again. Like I said, we don't know what happened. We'll never know from the very beginning. but he is kind of a different child than he was before. Like I said, he was lifeless at that 2-month hospital stay. He was hooked up to, IVs and shots, and he's still getting that here at home, but to me it's a little bit better because he's in the comfort of his own home. And like I said, we have amazing nurses that help us through this. And one thing that I'm really proud of and that he was excited about is that he was able to start pre-K about a week ago. It has been an adjustment. He's not feeling it right now. He's like, Mommy, I don't want to go to school. It's an adjustment with his stomach. It was a process getting him into school with his nurses and everything like that. Lots of paperwork, lots of meetings, lots of discussions. But he is on a special plan with school, and instead of like going to play outside, if he gets too hot, he can go to the nurse and lay down and things like that to adjust to what he needs. We're hoping for better results with this neurology test and with genetics. Hopefully that's later in October. But if you ask me, he's a champion because this all started before he was 3, and we're still going through it, and we don't know the cause, which is the most frustrating. But we're taking it one step at a time. I have no problems with questions. I don't mind answering questions. So don't be afraid to leave me questions or ask me questions or comment questions or anything like that. I'm hoping to kind of be more consistent with this. I think my next video I'm going to try to do maybe like a nighttime routine with him, because getting him ready in the morning and doing a nighttime routine are really different, but they're both really time consuming. And the nurses really do help me out a lot with that. My mom, my parents, as a lot of people know, I still live with my parents because obviously doing this, living alone, is not an option right now. It's very hard, it's very emotional, it really takes a toll on you. But my parents, the nurses, my brother, I've got a lot of close cousins, my friends, his dad. Everybody has really been here to help through this. And it's just other people say it's hard to see him this way, and if it's hard for you guys to see him this way, and it's hard for my parents to see him this way, imagine me being his mother, how hard it is to see him this way. All I can say is God is amazing, because last year he was on life support, and this year he was back in ICU because his tummy was completely crushing his diaphragm, and his lungs were collapsing because he wasn't able to breathe. His tummy was so big. So it's been a lot, but he has fought through everything. Being 3 years old, being 4 years old, he is resilient towards everything. It's amazing what support and people can do for you. There's a lot of people I could individually thank, starting with my parents. This past round, his dad has really been there, and I don't know, it's an emotional roller coaster, but I've got a lot of people in my circle, in my corner, to help. But if you made it through this long video, thank you for watching all of it. I will be posting more. Like I said, I'm hoping to be more consistent with as busy as we can be. Hopefully I'll get a nighttime routine up, or a morning routine, or just a day out with Lorenzo. So if you want to see more stuff, let me know. I don't know how YouTube rolls. I mean, I guess people comment and let you know. But again, thank you for watching, and hopefully I can get more things like this up for everybody to watch.